Hi, and welcome to Thrive Thursday. Every Thursday, I share a recipe on this channel using Thrive Life freeze-dried ingredients, and they're quick, they're easy, and they're amazing. And I say almost every video, don't live off beans and rice when you can make amazing foods like this using shelf-stable ingredients. That's one of the amazing things about freeze-dried foods, especially Thrive Life. They have amazing quality. Today, so I've kind of got a little bit of a head start because today's recipe is a little involved. Most of the recipes I share on Thursdays are like minutes, like 5-10 minutes tops, and you've got an amazing meal. But I had this really amazing idea. So this one's a little more involved. It uses a little more dishes, more steps. And when I say it's a little more involved, this might take me 20 minutes to make, which, I mean, in the scheme of things, really is not that long for what it is. So today I am gonna share with you my crazy invention, Mexican lasagna. So normal Italian lasagna, you have your tomato sauce. I mean, there's veggie lasagna with Alfredo, which is also magnifique, but this is my Mexican lasagna version. So instead of pasta, we're doing tortillas. And instead of like a spaghetti sauce or an Alfredo, we're gonna be doing enchilada sauce. And we're gonna do taco meat and veggies and refried beans. And it's gonna be amazing, and it's layered, and it's just fantastic. So the cool thing is, I'm trying to think if there's anything other than the tortillas that's really not shelf stable. I mean, tortillas, you can make those fresh at any time. So they're shelf stable for a little while, I guess. They're easy to store. Everything else, most everything is Thrive ingredients, or I am gonna use my personal favorite, Macayo's enchilada sauce. You can use any enchilada sauce. And one of these days, I do have it on my list of things to make. I'm going to make a homemade enchilada sauce using Thrive Life ingredients. So stay tuned for that. Coming up eventually down the road. It's on my mile-long list of things to do. But anyhow, this as well as the Macayo sauce. I just love these brands. This is my absolute favorite. So this is what I use, but you can use whatever. You could use salsa instead of this. You could use any enchilada sauce or make your own instead of this. Everything else is Thrive Life. Yeah, I mean, other than the tortillas. So super easy. This is a great food storage meal you can make. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera down. So what I did get a head start on, because partly it's because this burner that I use, the little burner. If I use my stove over there, it would be so much faster, but it's against the wall. There's not as good of angles to video and show you what I'm doing. So, you know, it's a trade-off. But this little burner just takes a little longer. So right now what I'm doing is I'm rehydrating my Thrive Life refried beans. So all it is it's a 1-to-1 ratio of the freeze-dried beans and water, and then a little seasoned salt. But you do have to, you have to bring it to a boil, and just simmer it for a little bit. It takes normally 4 to 5 minutes. With this little burner, I was just afraid it was gonna take too long to get up to temperature. So that's the only thing I'm really not cheating. I'm getting a jump start on. So, and these are doing really good. I think by the time I have everything else assembled, these will be fantastic and they'll be ready to go. So, let me go ahead and turn the camera down so you can see everything I'm doing. The counter's kind of chaos today because, like I said, this is a complicated, it's not complicated, it's easy. It's just a lot of ingredients, it's a lot of steps, but it's gonna be a lot of deliciousness too. So, Mexican lasagna. Here we go. So now that I have the beans started and setting up, we're gonna start with 1 cup of boiling water. And to that, we are gonna add 2 cups of Thrive Life ground beef. So for this, it's obviously a 2-to-1 ratio. Now, ideally, you want to give meat like this about 20 minutes to rehydrate. But we're going to do this fast, and it's going to work out, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. To the meat, I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of taco seasoning. Go ahead and add it right in with the meat and the water. That way, as the meat rehydrates, it's going to absorb some of that amazing taco flavor. And this is a Mexican lasagna after all. So taco seasoning is our friend. It is a good thing for this, and it will add so much flavor. So remember that water is really hot. The hotter the water, the faster things will rehydrate with. You can rehydrate freeze-dried foods with cold water. It's just going to take a lot longer. And so I'm going to set it aside, and we're just going to let it sit and rehydrate on its own while we make our vegetable mixture. So, and the beans, again, I removed them from the heat, but they're doing the same thing. So now we're going to do about 1/4 cup of, these are just sliced onions, the Thrive Life freeze-dried sliced onions. We'll do about 1/4 cup of those. And to that, we're going to add green chilies. So now these I keep in a different container, but they're still Thrive Life. We're going to do about 1/3 cup of those, just so we get that flavor. If you wanted a little more heat, you could add more. You could also add peppers or any other Mexican ingredients that you like. Corn is always a good one to add for things like this. So we're going to add about 1/2 cup of corn. It's a good filler, and it's going to add some sweetness. This sweet corn by Thrive Life is so good. If you haven't tried it yet, you want to try it. It has such a sweet flavor to it. It's really, really delicious. So, and then to this, we're also going to add some Thrive Life diced tomatoes. Just about 1/3 cup of those. Now, and I didn't do too much because the tomatoes are pretty big chunks in comparison to everything else, so you didn't want it to overpower texture-wise the other vegetables. So now we're going to add 1.5 cups of hot water. This doesn't have to be boiling, but again, it would make it rehydrate faster. Then we set it aside. Now our beans have been sitting there. I'm going to add 2 good squirts, so about 2 tablespoons of our Macayo's taco sauce. And that's just going to kind of help thin down the beans a little bit, but it's also going to add some good flavor and a little bit of spice to it. I don't tolerate spice very well, so I can tell you that this is not a spicy dish. It really isn't. But just adds a little flavor dimension. And then just kind of, we're going to check everything else, give everything a good little stir, make sure it's rehydrating. And while we've been working on other things, we'll just give everything a stir and get ready to assemble our Mexican lasagna. And again, our vegetables too. Just make sure everything's getting coated in the water and able to absorb. So I've opened our can of Macayo's enchilada sauce. And this is just store-bought, but it is my personal favorite. For our lasagna, I'm going to put it in a spring-form pan. This is something you'd use for like cheesecakes and things. I just like it because it was a really great size for our tortillas. You do want to spray it with some pan spray. So make sure you've got a good spray of the pan spray to the pan. That way your tortillas and things aren't going to stick to it. And now is the fun part. So now we're going to start layering our tortilla, or our lasagna with tortillas. So as you can see, it's not complicated. There's just a lot of different ingredients, kind of like lasagna. Lasagna is that way. So we'll start with our tortilla on the bottom. And the first layer, I'm going to do the the refried beans, because they're dense, they're heavy. We want them to be on the bottom. So do about 1/3 of your refried bean mixture and make sure it's spread out. You do want to have it clear to the edges of the tortilla. Otherwise, the tortilla edges will get crispy and they'll be crunchy on the edges. You won't have the amazing filling. So make sure you get it clear to the edges. And then on this layer, I'm going to top it with some Thrive Life freeze-dried shredded cheese, because it's Mexican food, right? You can't have it without some cheese. It's amazing. Cheese belongs on everything. So we're going to do a cheese layer there. And now this bottom layer, I'm not going to add this sauce because it's the bottom layer. It's going to have enough moisture. It'll be fine. But all the other layers after this, I'm going to add a little bit of the enchilada sauce. Just to help hydrate that cheese, because the cheese is still freeze-dried. I haven't hydrated that in anything. So the next layer here, got our next tortilla, we're going to do our taco meat. So again, our ground beef with taco seasoning. We're going to go ahead and do 1/3 of that meat mixture in on this layer. And you're you're layering it. Think of it as far as weight as well. So our refried beans, they're heavy, they're dense. We definitely want those on the bottom. Next is going to be our meat and then our veggies. Now, we're going to be doing more than 3 layers, but that's okay because it's going to give us a good foundation of heaviest to lightest with each set of 3. Now, the ground beef, I'm adding the enchilada sauce on this layer. This is going to serve 2 purposes. It's going to help hydrate any meat that didn't get hydrated by sitting long enough, but it's also going to add that flavor and sauciness between the layers. So it kind of serves a double purpose here. And then our 3rd layer, we're going to do our veggie mixture. And again, like I said, you can add garlic, peppers, and whatever kind of veggies that you really like. Go ahead and add to this veggie mixture. You can customize it however you want. And that's part of the fun is doing things that your family likes and your taste buds. And now we got our 3 layers. And again, we're going to top the veggie layer with the enchilada sauce. Same purpose. It's going to help hydrate any veggies that haven't been fully hydrated, but it's also going to add sauciness and flavor to that layer as well. So we don't get any dry spots in our lasagna, because nobody wants a dry lasagna. Now we're just going to start all over. So for the sake of this video, I did speed this up because I figure you don't want to see me for the next 15 minutes. Actually, it didn't take that long, but I just figured this would be better to speed up. So I'm just repeating the same things I did, those first 3 layers. So doing another layer of each, and then the veggies, it's starting to get to the top of the pan. So I used up the rest of the veggies, and that was going to be the last veggie layer. So did 1 more of the green beans, and I'm going to finish it. The top layer is going to be with the ground beef. Now you can see me pushing down on the tortilla between each layer, and that's just fine. I was doing that partly to level everything out so that it doesn't doesn't slide off on one side or anything like that. We don't want our whole lasagna to slide off, right? You're going to have things fall off the edges, and that's just fine. So I did top the ground beef layer with cheese and then the remaining enchilada sauce. Then you do want to add tin foil on top. This is vital because that's going to keep the heat and the steam inside to help everything cook. Go ahead, pop it in the oven for about 40 minutes. And that's all there is to it. So this I baked with the tin foil over it. You want the tin foil because that'll help trap in the heat and the moisture to kind of just make sure everything gets fully reconstituted and amazing and delicious, and the whole house smells like Mexican food, and it's really good. So I cooked it, I baked it at 350 for about 40 minutes. It's good. So look at this. Now I topped this with a little bit of sour cream just because that tones it. I'm a wimp with spicy stuff, and I don't think this is super spicy, but let's see if I can get a picture. Look at all those layers. Look at that. So delicious, and I can just smell it. So let's see how it turned out. The girls kept coming in saying, "Mom, it smells so good and kind of spicy." So I'm like, that would be the chilies. Okay, that's way good. I definitely love it with the sour cream, but I love sour cream. This is really, really good. Super easy. This is one of, oh, apparently the dogs are barking at something. Good timing. This is like one of my most complicated recipes I've done for the Thrive Thursdays. And even at this, it's not that hard. And so now, aside from the sour cream, everything is shelf stable, right? This is and Thrive does sour cream. So you literally could have all this with your food storage. Yeah, there's no need to live off beans and rice. That's another thing you could put in this is layer in rice. Oh, that's an idea. Anyhow, it's amazing. We're having it for dinner tonight. So be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the button. comment, tell me if you have any other ideas of like some other things that would go really good in this, or if you try it, how it turns out. And I hope it's just as amazing as this one. And be sure to tune in next Thursday for next week's recipe. And you can purchase Thrive Life freeze-dried foods and ingredients with the link below in this video description, as well as there's a link to this recipe in a printable version on my blog. So thanks for watching and have a great week. See you next week.